So buckle in for a long video, and let's just get into it. If it's not an hour long, it's going to be at least 20 minutes, hopefully. So let's just get right into this video. I'm back with more reading the Scary Stories books, or reading from the Scary Story books. But don't worry, I will be splitting these up into a few weeks, so you don't have to see them like all at once, or whatever. So this is called The Curse. My dad's friend, Charlie Potter, was a small, nervous man who was always looking around as if he was in some kind of danger. After he told me this story about his college fraternity, I understood why. The frat doesn't exist anymore, he said. It was banned years ago. We had just 9 members at the point, and we were taking in 2 more, Jack Lawton and Ernie Kramer. One night in January, just about this time of year, the 9 of us took them out into the country for their initiation. We took them to an old deserted house where 2 young men about our age had been murdered recently. Okay, I'm just going to interject real quick. First off, do not do that. Especially if like somebody had just been like murdered there. Don't do that. That's gross and so wrong. And yeah, haunted houses, or not haunted, but abandoned houses can be dangerous. So just don't go do that, okay? I'm sorry. Okay, so, and their murder was still at large. So that means he could come back, guys. So that's scary. We gave Jack a lighted candle and told him to go up to the 3rd floor. Stay there for an hour, we told him, then come back down. Don't speak. Don't make any noise. If your candle goes out, carry on in the dark. From where we were standing, we could see the light from Jack's candle moving up the stairs to the 2nd floor, then to the 3rd. But when he got to the 3rd floor, his candle went out. We guessed that he had come to a drafty corner and the wind blew it out. But when the hour went by and he didn't come down, we weren't so sure. We waited another 15 minutes and got more and more nervous. So we sent Ernie Kramer up after him. When Ernie got to the 3rd floor, his candle also went out. Sorry, let me get a drink. We waited 10 minutes. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by all the notifications popping up on my phone from YouTube. Okay, so his candle went out. We waited 10 minutes, 20 minutes, but there was no sign of either of them. Come on down, we called, but they didn't answer. Finally, we decided to go up and get them, armed with flashlights. We started up the stairs. It was as quiet and dark as a grave in that house. When we went to the 2nd floor, we called out again, but there was no answer. When we got to the 3rd floor, we walked into a great big open space like an attic. Jack and Ernie weren't there, but we saw footprints in the dust. These led to a room on the other side of the attic. The room was also empty, but there was fresh blood on the floor, and the window was wide open. It was about 25 feet to the ground. But there was no ladder or rope in sight that they could have used to get down. We searched the rest of the house and the land around the house and found nothing. Excuse me, sorry. We decided that they were playing a trick on us. We figured that in some way they had escaped through the window and were hiding in the woods. The blood on the floor was to throw us off the track. We guessed that they show up the next day with a lot of stories and a lot of laughs, but they didn't. The next day we told the dean of men what had happened and reported it to the police. The police didn't find anything either, and after several weeks the search ended. To this day, no one knows what happened to Jack Lawton, and Ernie Kramer. There isn't much more to tell, he said. We weren't arrested, but the college disbanded the fraternity and suspended the 9 of us from school for a year. The strangest part came after we graduated. Someone must have placed a curse on us. Every year since then, around the time of that initiation, one of us has died or gone crazy. I'm the only one left, he said, and I'm in pretty good health. But there are times when I just feel a little peculiar. And it says, now rush at someone in the audience to scream, ah. And there's the picture. I find that one kind of just, I wasn't really a fan of the ending of this last story, but it is what it is. And this one says The Last Laugh. These stories are scary and funny. And there's that little bat creature thing again that we saw in another video. This one is called The Church. Sorry, I like seeing how long they are. And there's the picture. The church. There was a fellow named Larry Berger. Oh my god, my last name. Named Larry Berger, who wasn't afraid of anybody alive. But anybody who was dead scared the wits out of him. One night, Larry was out driving in the country in his old Jeep when he got caught in a bad thunderstorm. The rain was coming down in sheets. Sorry, I can't talk. I know I'm talking so fast. I have a problem with that. The rain was coming down in sheets. Since his Jeep didn't have a top to it, Larry started looking for a place to take shelter. But at the first place he came to, he didn't even slow down. It was an old deserted cabin, probably as dry as a bone inside. Sorry if you hear a noise. I'm just going to unpause this real quick, and then I'm going to pause it again. Sorry, guys. Okay, so. It was an old deserted cabin, probably as dry as a bone inside. I was trying to find my place. But Larry knew for a fact that it was haunted, and he wasn't going to stay there. A few miles farther, he came to an old abandoned church standing all alone in the field. It hadn't been used in years. All the window glass was gone, but it still had sections of the roof intact. So Larry parked his Jeep and ran inside. It was as dark as it could be in there. Larry groped around until he found a pew and sat down. It was nice and dry, just as he had thought it would be, and he stretched out his legs and made himself comfortable. Suddenly there was a big flash of lightning, and Larry saw that he wasn't the only one in that church. There were people sitting in almost every pew. They all had their heads bowed as if they were praying, and they all were dressed in white. These must be ghosts sitting in their shrouds, Larry thought. They must have come in from some graveyard to get dry. Larry jumped back up and ran down the aisle as fast as he could, right smack into one of the ghosts. And the ghost he went, bah! That's literally the ending of it. That's so anticlimactic. But I do want to ramble about something real quick. I know I mentioned it in another one, but I don't know which order I'm going to post these in. But I am not going paranormal hunting like somebody asked me. And the thing is, like, the paranormal can be dangerous. I do believe there's good and bad spirits. So I'm not going to go and try to mess with the paranormal. That's just not who I am. I've had paranormal experiences because the paranormal seems to be attracted to me, especially shadow people for some reason. I used to see shadow people all the time. Not as much as I used to, like, when I was younger. I haven't seen as many, but I used to attract shadow people all the time in paranormal, which I do want to make a paranormal video one day. But it seems like the more you talk about the paranormal, the more you encounter the paranormal. So I'm just not gonna, go out of my way and, invite them in. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna do any haunted, anything like that. I'm not gonna do haunted stuff because I'm not a professional, and some of the people on here on YouTube, they know what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing, so I would probably accidentally have a ghost follow me home, and I really don't want that. Excuse me. I don't care if the ghost is a good ghost or a bad ghost. Well, I care if it's a bad ghost. I don't care if it's a good ghost. I just don't want them following me home. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to do any paranormal investigating. If that's your cup of tea, that's fine. I like watching that stuff too, but I personally wouldn't know what I'm doing, so I'm not going to do it. Because there's so many safety precautions that need to be in place, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. You have to think about your safety, and I'm thinking about my safety, and I'm not going to do any paranormal stuff, so I'm sorry if you don't like that. I mean, I can talk about the paranormal. I'll talk about the paranormal, but I'm not going to do anything like paranormal on my channel. I'm sorry. That's not my content. That's not my cup of tea. I don't want to put myself in danger. Because with my luck, I would accidentally summon a demon and let it in my house. And I don't want no demons in my house. I want angels, of course, but I don't want no demon in my house. Those things are scary. Demons scare me more than people do sometimes, but people scare me too, so... yeah, and a lot of people are like, oh, I'm more scared of people. Well, if you have a demon in your house, you're probably going to be more scared of that demon than a person. You know what I mean? Although I did hear, like, this one story. Like, there was, like, some kind of monster living in this guy's closet. And it was, like, it protected him from some robbers or something. I'm like, well, good for you. You have a friendly demon, I guess. That's there to protect you, but... still, I wouldn't want it in my house personally. You know what I mean? So, if you like paranormal stuff and you like that kind of content, there are so many awesome creators on YouTube that do that kind of content. I'm just not going to do it because I don't know what I'm doing and I'm scared. And paranormal people, oh, not people, paranormal seem to like that. Like, ghosts seem to attach to people that are afraid of them a little bit. Or they show themselves to people that are afraid of them. I don't know. But let's get back into the books. I'm sorry for rambling so much. The next one is called The Bad News. And there's, like, these little skeletal ghosts, skeletal baseball players. Sorry. Leon and Todd loved baseball. When they were young, they played on the town's baseball team. Leon had been the pitcher and Todd had played second base. Now that they were a lot older, they spent their free time watching baseball games on TV and talking about baseball. Do you think they play baseball in heaven? Leon asked Todd one day. Excuse me, that's a good question, said Todd. The one who gets there first should let the other one know somehow. As it turned out, Todd got to heaven first, and Leon waited patiently to hear from him. One day, Leon found Todd sitting in the living room, waiting for him. Leon was very excited to see him. What is it like up there, he asked, and what about baseball? When it comes to baseball, said Todd, I have some good news, and I have some bad news. The good news is that we do play baseball in heaven. We have some fine teams. I play second base on my team, just like I used to in the old days. That's the good news. What's the bad news? Asked Leon. The bad news, said Todd, is that you are scheduled to pitch tomorrow. Okay, so that means he's going to die soon. I kind of like that story, even though it's kind of... I figured the ending out already, like he's going to die, so it is what it is. It's okay. I really gotta go to the bathroom, but I'm not going to go. I'm going to film this video. Cemetery soup. That doesn't sound good at all. And there's like a little woman rubbing a tree, a log, I don't know. On her way home from the market, the woman took a shortcut through the cemetery. There, sticking up out of the ground, she saw a big bone. Oh, it's a bone. I'm so stupid. She picked it up and looked it over carefully. This will make a very good soup bone, she said. I think I'll take it home. It's perfect weather for hot soup. When she got home, the first thing she did was start the soup into the big soup pot went water, carrots, green beans, corn, barley, onions, potatoes, a snitch of beef, some salt and pepper, and the bones. She brought it all to a boil, then brought it down to a simmer. I'm sorry, I'm gonna pause that real quick. Shit, I may copyright it because there's music back there. Oh well. Yum, she said. Yum, she said, and sniffing it and tasting it. I can hardly wait till supper. Suddenly she heard a small voice. Please give me my bone. Please give me back my bone. The woman paid no attention. Soon she heard the voice again. May I have back my bone, please? The woman was reading the newspaper, and again, she didn't take any notice. In a little while, the voice spoke up once more. It was beginning to sound angry. Give me back my bone. The woman kept on reading the paper. Some people are too impatient, she muttered. Once more, the voice spoke. Now it sounded very angry, and it was so loud that the whole house shook. I want my bone back! The woman reached into the pot, grabbed the bone, and threw it out the window. In a voice just as loud, she shouted, Take it! There was an eerie silence, and the woman heard footsteps scurrying away from the house down the road toward the cemetery, and she got up and served herself some soup. That's a little funny, a little weird. And this is called the brown suit, and there's a suit. The brown suit. I'm almost done with this book, guys. The brown suit. A woman came to the funeral parlor to see her husband's corpse. You did a good job, she said to the undertaker. He looks just the way he always looked, except for one thing. My husband always wore a brown suit, but you have him dressed in a blue suit. That is no problem, said the undertaker. We can easily change it. When she returned later, her husband was wearing a brown suit. Now he looks just the way he always did, she said. I know you went to a lot of trouble. It was no trouble, he said. As it happened, there is a man here who was wearing a brown suit, and his widow felt that blue would be better. He's about your husband's size, so he gave him the blue one and gave your husband the brown one. Even so, she said, changing all that clothing was a big job. Not really, said the undertaker. All we did was exchange their heads. That's weird. I'm not gonna lie, that's really weird. This is like a little poem and song thing. So there's the picture. This one's called Baroom. O'Larry is dead and O'Reilly don't know it. O'Reilly is dead and O'Larry don't know it. They are both dead in the very same bed, and neither one knows that the other one's dead. Baroom, baroom. It says to the tune of the Irish washerwoman. And then over here is like pretty much the same thing. It's like little lyrics. I'm just going to skip that part because it's pretty much just repeating itself. This next one's called Thumpity Thump. And we got a picture of a chair or something. Okay, when we moved to Schenectady from Shahari, we rented a house awful cheap because it was spooked and nobody would live in it. But we didn't care because we didn't take no stock in spooks. We had just gone to bed the first night, dog tired from riding in a wagon all day. We hadn't had time to shut our eyes when we heard a thumpity thump coming down from the attic stairs. I covered my head with the blankets, but I couldn't shut it out the sound. Thumpity thump, it went. I could hear it plain as day. Past the bedroom door, thumpity thump, down the stairs, thumpity thump, and through the kitchen, thumpity thump, and down the cellar stairs, thumpity thump, making the most awful racket you've ever heard. It was more than we could stand, so we all followed the sound to see what was going on. When we got down to the cellar stairs, we saw that it was a chair that made all that racket. There it was with one of its legs pointing to a place on the dirt floor. We all just stood and gawped till my brother Ike, said that he believed that the chair was trying to tell us something about the place it was pointing at. So Ike went and got a shovel and started digging. He didn't have to dig far before his shovel struck something hard. Pretty soon we could see the edge of a box sticking out. We all hollered for him to hurry up and uncover the rest of it. And the chair, it got so excited it jumped up and down like it had gone plumb crazy. When I got the box uncovered, Pop and the boys pried off the lid, and there was the body of a man all smooshed and with blood. It was plain as the nose on your face that he had been murdered, and the chair wanted folks to know it. Right then and there, we decided to leave. Being strangers, everybody would think that we had murdered him and came there to hide the body. It didn't take us long to fill up that hole and get out of the house. The chair was awful mad about our leaving, and it went up to the cellar stairs, thumpity thump, louder than when it had gone down. Then it thumpity thumped up the next set of stairs, and the next louder still. When it got back into the attic, it thumpity thumped so loud we thought it would thump all the plaster down on our heads. Nobody asked us why we were moving out so soon because nobody ever stayed more than one night in that place, and most not that long. But I can tell you, we were thankful to get back to Shuri, where tears stay where they're put and don't go roaring and ramping around, scaring folks out of their wits, pointing out murders and goodness knows what. That's really a weird story. And it looks like I've actually finished the book because all of it is just like sources and stuff. So we finally finished More Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which is great because I will add it to the pile of books that I'm going to review for my end of the month book review that's going to be coming up. I bet you guys are excited about that. Probably not, but I hope you are. So I'll just get started on one of the other books that I started on this channel, and that's Anti-Acid Breaks the Internet. So this one was always a fun book to read. I haven't read it in a while, and I'm excited because it's really fun. So it says maybe she's born with it, maybe it's an Instagram filter. And there she's got a pig nose, and then there's a little picture there. Have you heard of everyone's new favorite beauty product? It's called a filter. Although all it's done for me so far is to make me realize I look 100 times better as a freaking cartoon pig than I do as my actual real self. Excuse me, how depressing. And that's not the only time social media has got me in trouble. Turns out I'm not a Pinterest kind of woman. I'm more like an Amazon Prime kind of lady. I begged the posters to stop delivering my packages when my husband's home, but so far no luck. I don't think they can determine when they can deliver or not. Sorry, I'm gonna unpause it real quick and pause it again. And I'm probably gonna get copyrighted because of the music. It's just little pieces, so I don't know, maybe. Not, but probably. The worst part of online shopping is having to get up and go get your card out of your purse. Check the email, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Ready to start my day. Oh look, it's lunchtime. So here she is on her couch. And there she is there. You guys all know what she looks like by now. I don't need to keep showing you pictures. But if you want me to, I will. Being famous on Instagram is basically the same thing as being rich in Monopoly. I haven't seen a new Kim Kardashian selfie for 15 minutes, so I called the cops and reported her missing. I do like this picture, so I will show this one. And then there's that one of her talking about Kim K. If it's a really cool picture, I will show it, but most of them are kind of like the same and kind of boring. I like online shopping and putting everything I want in a cart, then checking the subtotal, laughing my ass off, then closing the tab. I'm not lazy. I'm in energy saving mode. Same, girl, same. FYI, my phone is always on silent. I don't even know if I have a ringtone. If someone ever needs to contact in an emergency, I suggest you call someone else. My brain is like the internet browser. Shopping, work, kids, dinner, cleaning. 15 tabs are open. 3 of them are frozen, and I have no idea where that music is coming from. So I wanted to show you this because that's like me all the time, especially at night. I can't sleep very well. I normally mind my own business, but if someone is arguing on Facebook, I'm rating all 694 comments. That's relatable. Online shopping because it's frowned upon to be in a store with no bra, dirty hair, and a glass of wine. That's funny. Have you ever gotten the finger to have you ever given the finger to a text message, or is that just me? Texting is a brilliant way to miscommunicate how you feel and misinterpret what other people mean. I do kind of like this picture. She's really mad. And I like the little text message picture. I always thought that was interesting. When you're busy bragging on Facebook, remember there are people who know you in real life. True. That's why so many people get called out. Okay, I confess. I keep some people's numbers in my phone just so I know not to answer when they call. So true, so true. This is a sponsored post. Only kidding. There are a whole bunch of cool ways to make money on the internet these days, though, folks. I make a killing selling Walt's old stocks on eBay. People are using them to alter people sitting next to them on public transport. Clever, huh? You can also make big bucks being an influencer. All you have to be is attractive, fashionable, young, and cool. So that's me out. I am an influence in other ways, though, usually a freaking bad one. Yes, of course I'm athletic. I surf the internet every day. If I block you on social media, the block applies to real life. True. I need Google in my brain and antivirus in my heart. Yeah, so true. Sorry, I've got my Netflix pants on, so I'm in for the night. That's me sometimes. Leggings were once a girl's best friend, then snapshot filters came along. I kind of like her pictures in this one, so let me just show you. I like that picture, it's really cute. Unless your name is Google, stop acting like you know everything. The trouble with quotes on the internet is that you never know if they are genuine. Albert Einstein. True, you never know for sure. Ancient Egyptians used to worship cats and write on walls, a practice we still continue to this very day. Oh, that's so cute. If I'm not online for more than 2 days, call the police. I've been kidnapped. True. There's a cute kitty. Or if I'm not online for more than 2 days, I'm busy. But yeah, maybe. Being popular on the internet is like sitting at the cold table in a mental hospital. True. Maybe not. I don't know. Before you marry someone, you should make them use a computer with a slow internet connection first to see who they really are. Oh my god, that's funny. I won't be impressed by technology until I can download food from the internet. That would be really, really cool. If you're hungry, you can just order a burger or something from the internet. Well, they do have like DoorDash and stuff, but I think she means like, I don't know. I don't know what she means, honestly. Please don't confuse your Google search with my nursing degree. Shortest horror story ever. No connection. True. I log off because I'm bored. I'll log back on in 5 minutes because I'm bored. The best thing about being over 40 is that we did all of our stupid stuff before the invention of the internet. Well, sometimes that you still do some dumb things that end up on the internet. Thanks to Instagram, I know what everyone's bathroom mirror looks like. True, a lot of people make a lot of those posts. Social media, can't talk. I need a drink of water. Social media is like a refrigerator. You know there's nothing new inside, but you still check it out every 10 minutes. True. I used to wonder what it would be like to read people's minds. Then social media came along and now I'm over it. I get that. Quitting Facebook is the new running away from home. We all know you're doing it for attention and we all know you're coming back. Some people can't sleep because they have insomnia. I can't sleep because I have Wi-Fi. That's a little true for me as well, but I also can't sleep when I try to sleep. I'm changing my name to Nobody on Instagram. That way when I see a stupid post, I'll like it and it will say, nobody likes this post. That's funny. I walked into the kitchen asking my daughter for a phone book. She just laughed, said I was old, then passed me her phone instead. Long story short, spider dead, phone broke, and daughter crying in her room. Caution, I have no filter. True. Instead of some of my friends, they don't have any filters. Yes, you should definitely post that status. Everyone will think it's so funny. Wine. A quote from Wine. Talking is such a strong word. Let's call it social research instead. Don't you know where your kids are? Turn off the internet and they'll show up quick enough. Very, very true. FYI, liking your own Facebook status is like giving yourself a high five in public. It's a waiting room, not a talk as loud as you can on your phone. Oh my god, that one was so funny. Me and my husband like to party, and by party I mean put on Netflix and try to stay awake for half an hour. Home is where the Wi-Fi connects automatically. Oh, that's cute. That's her husband. And then I like that page too. Oh, her husband's cute too. She's cute, her husband's cute, even though they're cartoons and not real. By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you blocked and deleted. You may now kiss my ass. Dear Lord, please don't let my husband be home when all my online orders arrive. Amen. Okay, so that's like completely the opposite. It's my dad that does all the ordering, and then my mom has to bring it all in. So that's opposite from my parents. I reply to text in either 0.2 seconds or 3 to 5 business days. Yes, I do have a live outside the internet. I just can't remember the password for it. Santa saw your Facebook post. You're getting a dictionary this year. A lot of people need that. In case of fire, please leave the building before posting about it on social media. True. No matter how nice your pictures are or how real your quotes may be, there are some people who will never hit the like button, just because it's you. True. We had social networking back in the day. It was called Go Outside and Play. But she has a cute little friend there. That's so cute. I didn't know she had a friend because she's so vulgar. Let me just unpause this real quick and then pause it again. Here we go. Life is so boring when you don't have an online order to look forward to. Exit Facebook, close laptop, get into bed, unlock phone, check Facebook, true story. Yep. Oh yeah, that's true. And then there's like a little message from Auntie Acid on the back. Hi again, friends. If you're reading this, it means you've reached the end of the book. And if you made it through the whole thing without looking at your Facebook timeline, well done. You win a bunch of cookies, internet cookies that is. Enjoy. I hope my sassy sayings are on all things social has entertained you and kept you scrolling fingers busy while Walt was up on the roof fixing the internet. Now how to get him down. I could give him back his ladders, but what fun would that be? I'm going to film it and stick it on YouTube. I have a feeling I'm going to go viral. Speak soon. BBFN. Bye-bye for now. Yours, Auntie A. So that was a really good book. I gave my mom a book like this, like literally not too long ago. I think last year for Christmas. So yeah, that was a fun book. I did take my time reading it though, but it was a good book. All right. I still got like 3 more books that I can read on this channel. So we'll get into the next one because like I said, I want to make this an hour-long video if I can. And this is called More Short and Shivery Stories, 30 Terrifying Tales. Probably won't get through all 30, but we'll get to some. I'm just going to skip the introduction because I can always come back and read this if I want to. Okay, so this first story is called Told Him Tab, and it says United States, Virginia. So I wonder if these are all over the world or something, like all over the United States, maybe. Before the railroads were built in Virginia, supplies had to be carried from one town to another. One afternoon, late in December, a number of supply wagons traveling together were caught in a sudden snowstorm. The drivers pushed on through the freezing cold and heavy snow until they came to an abandoned farm very near the road. Looks like a good place to sit out the storm, said a man named Tub. I heard that the house is haunted, said another driver, heading toward the barn. I'm going to bed down in one of the stalls with the horses. Several other drivers said they have heard some pretty bad things about the house too. One man said he heard that for almost 25 years, not a single person who had stayed overnight remained alive to see the dawn. Most of the men decided they preferred to sleep in the barn with the animals. Well, said Teb, who was braver than the rest, I'm not afraid of any haunts, and I'm not about to sleep with horses and cowards when there's a real house just up the hill. When he finished unhooking his horse, Tab marched up the hill, or marched up to the house, which looked forlorn and run down, but not in the least daunting. I just want to show you this picture real quick. That's a big picture. I'm going to take a drink real quick because my throat. And I'm going to organize something over here real quick. You have to admit, I've been doing a lot of reading in this video. But I did ramble a little bit about ghosts and stuff too. Inside, he found a big pot-bellied stove and a healthy supply of wood. He built a cheery fire, cooked and ate his supper, and finally bedded down on a couch he dragged near the stove. He slept peacefully through the night without being disturbed by anything except an odd bit of wood snapping inside the stove. Just before sunrise, he woke up, stretched, and said, "What a bunch of fools those other fellows are to have stayed down with the horses when they could have stayed in here, just as warm and comfortable as me." Sorry, guys, I'm burping a little bit. Excuse me, sorry. No sooner had he finished speaking than he heard a rambling laugh overhead. Looking up to the ceiling, he saw a large man dressed in white cloths stretched out under the rafters as though he were sticking to them. Before Tab could make a move, the man in white dropped right down on top of him. They started tussling, rolling back and forth across the floor, knocking the furniture in the room every which way. The two made so much noise that the men in the barn heard it and ran up the hill to see what was the matter. Not daring to set foot in the house, they all clustered at the windows, prying open the shutters and leaning in. They saw the struggle going on. Tab and the man in the white seemed about equally matched. 1 minute Tab would be on top, the next the man in the white. One of the drivers cried, "Hold him, Tab, hold him." "You can bet your soul I will," yelled Tab. "I've got him for sure." A minute later, the two fighters came crashing through a window, sending the drivers scattering. "Hold him, Tab, hold him," another driver shouted. "You can bet your life I will," cried Tab. "I got him right where I want him." The next moment, the man in white began rolling Tab around and flung him onto the roof of the house. Sorry, that was my dryer. Then the stranger jumped up after him, so the drivers had to stand some distance away just to see what was happening. "Hold him, Tab, hold him," they yelled, one after another. "You can bet your boots I will," said Tab, panting. "He won't get away from me." Now the two wrestlers on the roof were so knotted together that the drivers down below had a hard time telling which arm or leg belonged to which. Then as the drivers watched open-mouthed, the fighters began floating up off the roof. One of the drivers cupped his hands around his mouth and bellowed, "Hold him, Tab, hold him." "I got him, and he's got me too," shouted Tab. Then the man in the white carried Tab straight up into the air until they were both out of sight, and nothing was ever seen of Tab after that. So I thought Tab was a ghost as well. So I don't know. That was a crazy story with an anticlimactic ending. I wasn't a fan of the ending, but I thought it was a good story. This next one is called The Witch's Eyes, and I'm just going to see how long it is. Oh, this one's a lot longer. The Witch's Eyes, Spanish America, American Southwest. That's what it says on the books right here. I'm just going to show you real quick if y'all can see that. So these are all over the world. That's pretty cool. Many years ago, there was an elderly widower named Don Pedro who eased his loneliness by spending 1 or 2 evenings each week visiting 2 sisters, themselves his own age or nearly so, who lived across the road from his house. Though his other neighbors warned him in harsh whispers that the women were brujas. I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing that wrong. Brujas? I'm so sorry, I don't know. Witches. The old man ignored these telltales. He sipped chocolate with cinnamon, played a card game called, I'm going to butcher this too, I'm so sorry, Concusito, or shared Suntas, stories of the old days with his friends. Donna Inez and Donna Teresa. I'm so sorry. I'm saying these so wrong. I'm so sorry. Don Pedro knew that one sister was several years older than the other, but he was never certain which was the elder, and he was too polite to ask. The two dressed alike in skirts of stiff black material and carried identical fans of ebony silk. They might have been twins, save that one had eyes the deep color of coffee flecked with gold, while the other had paler tea-colored eyes, likewise gold-flecked. Always just before midnight, the woman would lay down their cards or stop their storytelling and murmur, "Pedro, you must go home now." Though he would beg to play just one more hand or hear a story to its end, they would shake their heads firmly and say, "You must go now." When he mentioned this to his neighbors, they said, See, this proves they are witches. They must be rid of you to begin their night's mischief." Excuse me, I'm sorry. "Do you suppose they go flying about under the moon?" asked Pedro, laughing at the thought. His neighbors would grow red in the face at his laughter and shrug their shoulders. But Don Pablo found that the suspicions of his friends were feeding his own curiosity. Often when he was unable to sleep, he would sit at a window and watch the silent house across the road. I know I got that one right, finally. I'm so sorry I'm butchering these. I can't speak Spanish, so I'm very, very sorry. House across the road. But the only thing out of the ordinary he noticed were the comings and goings of two lean cats, one with dark brown fur and one with tangy fur, that prowled the woman's midnight garden. One night they seemed to sense that he was spying on them, for they arched their backs and hitched in his direction. This disturbed Pedro so that he returned to his bed, though sleep did not come to him until dawn's light streaked the sky. Sorry, I'm gonna unpause this real quick.
I'll try.
There we go, sorry. I'm probably gonna get copyrighted, but I will. I tried. The next morning, he decided to take a little gift of pan dulce, a sweetbread, across the road to his neighbors. He noticed that both women had dark circles under their eyes. "Buenos dias. I chanced to be up last night and saw two cats near your door," he said. "Are they pets?" "There are no cats here," said the sister with coffee-colored eyes. "You must have been dreaming, Pedro," added the other sister. Her tea-colored eyes glinted with a harshness the old man had never seen before. "No doubt I was mistaken," said Don Pedro, and he handed over his gifts with a hasty adios. I'm gonna run to put some more clothes in the dryer and stuff. I'll be right back. And I'm so sorry I'm butchering all these Spanish words. I'll just be right back. I'm back. Sorry it took me so long. It wouldn't be a Bethany Burger video if I didn't leave part of the video. It's like I said, I made a lot of these other videos, and I left in like one of those videos as well, because I made a lot of these videos because I'm trying to get an hour-long video of reading scary stories like this. So anyway, let's get back to this. Back to me butchering stuff, I'm sorry. Oh, I need a drink too real quick. There was a farther mystery. Sometimes while the three talked and played cards in the evening, one or the other sister would mention something that happened in a distant town. Days later, Don Pedro would learn that they had spoken the truth, but how could they know so quickly about something that had happened a day's journey away? When he questioned them, they merely laughed and said that they had heard the news in the market square. Then one night, Pedro was awakened by the sound of a cat howling. Sorry, guys. Staring at the darkened casa across the way, he clearly saw two cats scurry from the stoop and around the corner of the house. Determined to find answers to his questions, Don Pedro marched across the road and knocked loudly on the door of the sisters' dwelling. Excuse me, guys. I'm sorry, I'm burping again. The place remained silent, the whitewashed adobe gleaming under the midnight moon. He knocked several times, yet neither woman came and answered. Afraid for his friend's well-being, he tried the door. It was unlocked, and he pushed it open. Donna Inez, Donna Teresa, he called. Are you well? Inside the rooms were empty. The only light came from the moonlight, streaming through the lattice and the faint glow of embers in the corner chimney. In the red light of the coals, Don Pedro saw to his horror that two sets of eyes, like the glass eyes from a china doll, sat on a dish on his stool in front of the hearth. One pair of eyes were deep brown, one pair tawny, both were flecked with gold. Oh, cried Don Pablo, blessing himself. In his haste to escape, he stumbled and lost his balance. His foot shot out and knocked the stool over. The dish tumbled into the fire. Instantly there was a puff of brown and a puff of tan smoke that flew up the chimney. The frantic man used a poker to search the coals and ashes. But though he rescued the dish, not a trace remained of its awful contents. Frightened, Don Pablo hurried home. A little later, he heard two cats begin a terrible howling. He did not need to look to guess that it was coming from inside the house across the road. And by the way, these are like the witches or the cats or whatever the fuck they are. The next day, Don Pedro did not know what to do. It was his regular evening for calling on the sisters. He was afraid to face them, but he was more afraid that if he didn't, they would suspect him of being the one who had made such mischief the night before. At last, he decided to bluff his way through a visit. He dressed especially well and took 2 roses from his small garden. Then with a trembling hand, he knocked on the door, remembering all too well how the door had opened onto a frightful scene only a few hours before. Called Donna Inez and her sister, also invited him. Come in. As he entered, he noticed that the lattices were still shut. The room was dark, no lamps had been lit, and the fireplace was cold. The 2 women murmured polite words, but kept their faces turned away or hidden by their black silk fans. When they moved, they seemed clumsy, as though even the dim light bothered their eyes. Alas, Don Pedro, said Donna Inez in a sad voice, her face averted so that she was gazing at the cold broth. I am afraid that we will no longer be able to share our evenings with you. Yes, said her sister, sighing behind her fan. We have other duties that must accompany our time from now on. I see, of course, said Don Pedro, who only wanted to be away from the house. His nervousness had gotten the best of him. As he fumbled for the door, he was aware that Donna Inez had turned to gaze at him suspiciously, while Donna Teresa had momentarily lowered her fan. At that moment, he pulled open the door. The sudden light revealed the sisters staring at him with the round eyes of cats. Go, close the door, they hissed, turning away in pain. Don Pedro quickly drew the door shut and fled. That night and every night thereafter, he locked his doors and windows that evening and did not unlock them until the sun was high above the eastern mountains, and he slept with his rosary clutched tightly in his hands. Sometimes he thought he heard the sounds of cats paw at his door or window, but he prayed a Hail Mary aloud, and the sound went away. Shortly thereafter, his strange neighbors departed in a carriage hung with black velvet curtains. They never returned, and the house remained empty for as long as Don Pedro lived. Sorry, I just cut. Because we have a Mexican restaurant in Waco, and that's kind of like, it's not exactly where I live, but it's like near where I live. And it's called Don Carlos, so that's why I said Don Carlos. I've been filming for like 50 minutes already. Wow. So hopefully I'll get to my goal unless somebody calls me or something or interrupts my video. This next one is called The Duppy, which I think I've heard of The Duppy. So The Duppy, and this is Haiti, sorry. I'm trying to say Heidi, it's Haiti, my bad. Jabal Lescott was only 6 when his Aunt Albertine died. The old woman had been sharp-tongued and quick to accuse a child of misdeeds. More often, imagine them real. So the boy was more relieved than sorry. He was glad not to have her scolding him all the time, calling him lazy and good for nothing. Sorry, that's what it says on here. So I'm not trying to be rude or racist. That's what it says. Good for nothing. Albertine Lescott was buried in a small churchyard on a hillside near the shanty where she had lived with her brother and his family. The banana trees, ribbons, and palm fronds that grew all around the cemetery. The mourners now and then got a glimpse of the distant roofs of Port-au-Prince, the capital. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time talking because I keep freaking burping and stuff. I'm just having a hard time talking. The distant roofs of Port-au-Prince, the capital of Haiti. I'm sorry if I butchered that. I'm trying my best. I'm so sorry. Before the funeral, Jabal overheard several of the neighbors saying that a duppy, a kind of ghost, was sure to rise from the old woman's grave at cockcrow on the 3rd night after her burial. What's that duppy? He asked his mother. Something you don't never want to meet up with. That's what it says. I'm sorry. That's how it's written. She told him something that can take hold of you if you're not careful or if you don't believe. It's a ghost, but not a ghost, his father said. Everyone have evil in him, but where he alive, his brain and his heart control that evil. After the spirit go away, that evil part be left behind. If it don't have nothing keep it from doing whatever it want, it go out into the world where it can do terrible things. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna read it like I know how to read it. So we get a magic man to put a spell on that duppy and keep it staying in the grave, his mother explained. It bad thing to let a duppy stay among Christian folk. Then she shook her finger at Jubal. Any child that ain't a foolish child will keep in his bed with the shutters closed till magic. He'll magic make that duppy rest quiet for all time, she warned him. Because he was a curious boy, Jubal quietly got out of bed on the 3rd night after Albertine's funeral, while his parents slept in their little bedroom behind a heavy blanket that served as a door. Jubal stepped out into the warm night, and the moonlight so bright it almost felt hot. The boy had no trouble picking out the trail that led from the shanty to the neighborhood cemetery. There he found he wasn't quite brave enough to set foot inside the graveyard. Sorry, guys. Set foot inside the graveyard, so he climbed a huge mango tree that overhung the rusty iron fence surrounding the burial ground. Let me just pause real quick. There we go. Sorry, guys. From here, he had a clear view of his aunt's grave halfway up the slope. He perched where several massive branches joined to watch, but as time slipped by and the night grew darker around him, Jubal remembered the warnings his parents had given him. He began to think he would be better off back in his bed. He was already risking a scolding and a spanking for leaving the house after dark. Now he began to be afraid of what else he might be risking. Alone in the dark, spying on ghosts. No, he told himself. I came this far. I ain't gonna give up now. So he clung stubbornly to his perch. As the night yawned toward morning, he dozed a little, unaware for the most part that he had slept at all. Then in the last hours before sunup, Jubal saw a huge bubble of white light squeeze out of the mounded earth of his aunt's grave. It made a wet, plopping sound as it floated free of the ground. The moon had set, but it seemed to Jubal that the earth had given birth to a second moon. Inside the man-sized globe of light, swarmed a lazy swirl of shadow like just swarming chicken in an egg held up to a candle. It was lit by an unhealthy glow that seemed to seep out rather than shine from inside. The surface had a damp look to it. For a moment, the slimy bubble hovered just above the grave. Then, as it sensed the boy in hiding, it began to move toward the mango tree. The lower half of the bubble slid right through the stone and metal grave markers that dotted the hillside. Jubal knew that was coming for him. He scrambled down from the tree and began running through the thick jungle towards home. With only starlight to help him pick out the thread of the path, he stumbled often over roots and rocks. He did not dare look back because he knew he would see the terrifying bubble of white light, strained with shadows following him, getting closer. Light from behind made the path ahead easier to see. He knew that meant the deadly glowing thing had almost caught up with him. When he rounded a bend in the trail and saw that he was near home, Jubal began to scream for help. Then, trying to force his aching legs to go faster, he tripped. He tumbled forward into a puddle that soaked his clothes and filled his nose with a rotted smell. He heard a sound like a rushing wind coming down the path behind him, followed by another sound as though a giant fire was sizzling and crisping the leaves on the trees. Too scared to move, Jubal buried his face in his arms and waited for the duppy to touch him, to burn him to ashes. Something grabbed him roughly by his shirt collar and jerked him, screeching like a crazy gull, to his feet. He windmilled his arms, keeping his eyes tightly shut. He felt himself shaken fiercely by the shoulders while his father shouted, "Open your eyes, boy, and shut your mouth. What giving you such fits?" Carefully, Jubal opened his eyes and looked around the starlight glade. They were alone. The forest was silent and dark. Tell me what you are doing here," his father said angrily. His strong hands never loosening their grip on Jubal's shoulders. "A duppy, Papa," Jubal said when he could catch his breath. "It be trying to touch me and kill me." "Why it be chasing you?" "At the graveyard," Jubal began, but his father interrupted him. "You been spying on that duppy? Don't you know that vexes him?" He looked nervously around the clearing. "Get along home, quick as you can. In the morning, you gotta fetch the priest to lay that duppy to rest." As they hurried along, with many glances back over their shoulders, Jubal's father said, "I shall whip you so you never forget what you done tonight, and so you won't do it no more. But I can see by your face that you won. Go Bexon, no duppy ever again." And Jubal, seeing their cabin ahead with his mother, standing anxiously in the doorway, felt he was the luckiest boy alive, just to be alive. And there's his picture. Okay, I'm probably gonna stop the stories here for now. But this is interesting. The next story is called Two Snakes from China, and I might read that in another video. And I just want to ramble for now, since the video is almost at a minute long. It's like 58 minutes right now. So yeah, so I'm pretty close. I've read like quite a bit of stories, and I made a long video, so that's mainly what I wanted to do, is make another long video and like reading those stories and stuff, which I did do that, and I did read a lot, and it hurt my throat. As you can tell, my throat is really, really sore now, and I'm going to need a lot of water. But that was a lot of good reading. I really liked the more shivery, short and shivery stories, even though they're not really that short to me. But anyway, I'm going to upload like some of these videos that I got so many other videos planned that I need to film. I just haven't got around to it. I'm just gonna unpause this real quick and then pause it because I don't want it to like go to the main screen or whatever. I don't know what I'm talking about. Oh God, I'm so tired. My throat is so dry. I finally hit a minute. But yeah, I have so many things planned. I have so many stories that I can read in these books, and I can't wait for that. And I'm glad that I finally made a minute-long video reading scary stories like this. And yeah, it's really fun. Like, I should have saved this like more for Halloween, but I just kind of wanted to get some of these books out of the way and read them and review them and all this stuff. So I'm gonna go. Bye, guys. Thank you if you watched this all the way to the end. Thank you so much. Bye.